In the beginning was the Word, but we're not going that far back. No, we're going all the way back to 2007, where a former Gadzooks manager and a youth pastor decided to do something different. He wanted to start a church and a movie theater. So fast forward 14 years, and a mulleted worship pastor, Justin Hagler, turned the vision God gave him for a different kind of church into the simple church. Thousands of lives changed, millions of dollars given away. God has done something in Shreveport, Bossier that no church has done before. And that's right. Join us on the Backstage with the Simple Church podcast summer as we look at the humble beginnings of the simple church. Talk to the people who were there and had no idea what was ahead. The mullet may be gone, but the spirit of the mullet will live on in all of us every day. Hey, thanks so much for joining us once again. Remember to subscribe today. This is the second part of the podcast with Jonathan Machen, myself, Scott Odom, and Mr. Justin Hagler, as we continue to talk to Johnny all about the beginnings of Simple Church and where we came from and where we're going. Thanks so much for joining us. Remember, subscribe today.
What else you remember? Beginnings.
Oh, let me think.
If you had to go back and go, Because when I think of that, as he's thinking, I think of all of the... At one time, we counted up the amount of songs.
Yeah.
Because what's different about this model, or this method,
right,
you're not repeating worship songs.
No. Mm-mm.
So every week, I remember you coming in and go, do you realize... you weren't bitter at all.
No.
Do you realize that we've learned 1,000 songs or something?
Yeah.
Because, you know, like in a worship setting or in church setting, it's like, yeah, I mean, maybe 10 songs you kind of have on a repeat.
You cycle through it.
Yeah, then you're like, hey, and then people, well, we were going, no, we're not doing that. We're going to play this and then another, and then we're going. So I remember Johnny
at
going.
one point, it got to, and that was probably, I don't know, maybe even before year 10, we had learned about 1,000.
Yeah, I don't remember. That's what I'm saying. I remember we were joking because you were like going, look, dude, this is.
Yeah. And
then sometimes, too, you had it organized by topic or by what we had done before because it was through Planning Center.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we'd go, what did we play 4 years ago when we did this series?
Right, yeah. And I could look back.
And you can go, well, you did this one and that one, which is
Well,
crazy.
if you think about it, you would have to learn 104 songs a year on average. That's not including like Easter. You would learn more than that because obviously you had Easter, but
well, that's just 2 songs.
that's doing 2 songs.
Right.
Yeah, so on average, if you did 2 songs every Sunday, yeah, it's 104 songs a year.
I think at the beginning
we were doing more.
We were doing about 4.
I'm just saying that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When I look back, too, it all goes back to timing because you went from 2 to 3 to 4. You just kind of had to wing it depending on what was going on. But you got to where it was 3. I mean, opener, announcements, a second, and then a closer probably.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the
model.
But Johnny was not bitter at all.
Nope.
He'd be like, good night, man. How many songs do we got to learn?
My favorite thing about Johnny was when he would miss a chord because out of everyone, you always knew because he had this look that he would do and he always turned. He would do this look and then he would turn his back, like not all the way, but just slightly to the crowd. And it was like,
I had my cousin.
yeah.
He would be frustrated
because he would be looking at the crowd, and then when it would go wrong, like even if I couldn't hear it, I would know because he would look down and then turn.
I just remember pounding that stage, son, when you were killing them leads. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going like, come on, son, let's go.
Let's do it.
It's fun.
It was fun, and so with the band, having to learn all those songs too, it was all by ear. Because you didn't have sheet music you could maybe find some of it somewhere.
Most people that you were running with, and some they were by ear, though.
Yes. Yeah. So I was a little bit of a drill sergeant. I didn't ever let them use charts.
Right.
Because I knew if they would use charts, then they would always be looking at them while we're playing. You know, so I made them all learn by ear. Now some of them would sneak some charts in there.
Because they go, I just need to know DGA.
Yeah. But yeah, so most everybody learned all those songs by ear and just played it and memorized it.
And then it would be another week. And then another week.
Yep.
And another week.
I do remember one singer in particular. I cannot remember his name.
Well, now, hold on. Before we go into singers, he did not say they memorized the words.
Yeah.
Because that's still have been an issue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jordan starts laughing because even as we are today,
Every week.
oh,
It feels like, malfunction.
yeah, every week it's still a challenge with the singers to go, hey, did you memorize this? Do you know it?
But I just remember we had this one singer in particular, and he would. Do you need help?
No, I got this. I'm
But he would
working.
He would be singing, and when he'd forget the lyrics, he'd go, "Hey, oh,
Well, you had.
ah."
I'm trying to think of all the different musician stuff, like old boy from Natchitoches.
I think that's
Yeah,
what you're
that was the guy I was talking about.
He was good though.
He could sing.
And then you
Great
think about
singer.
Cook.
Uh-huh.
He was a player.
Yeah, we had great players. That's the funny thing.
We had a lot of talent.
We had unbelievable talent in multiple bands too, going on at the same time, like we were saying, and then everybody was volunteering. So
Yeah,
it was bizarre. I mean, which is a cool thing, you know.
yeah, because they're like, man, I want to be a part of it. It's
Yeah,
fun. I want to,
yeah,
and because we're doing different stuff. You'd pick different songs. I mean, we had a different vibe of totally going, hey man, if we're gonna do it,
Yeah.
let's do it different.
Yeah, we did. We had just some amazing talent, and we still do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just think about the people that we have now and the people that we had then. I mean, they were just amazing.
Well, you got to have the
Sit
dude.
down,
He knew.
boy.
J Mac knew. He was out there in the clearups. He knew who was up.
Yeah, and a lot of people that did play, I brought in from the clubs.
That's what I'm saying. But that's to me is
You
what
know.
makes. I love it
Yeah,
because I think that's what you should be doing.
Yeah.
I mean, still, I think it's cool because you have an outreach that may not reach other people. That you go, hey man, you're welcome here. Come
well,
on.
and they were genuine relationships too.
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we formed those relationships out there.
Like, come on,
And
come
then,
play.
You know, yeah. So, but at one time, we had, so it was me, Chad Alexander played drums, Gray Schuler played bass, Sean Lake played keys, and I played guitar. And at that time, that was pretty much, we had a band together before Simple Church started.
Right.
All those guys. So at one time, you had that band
That's awesome.
playing, doing service
Which is
every
crazy.
Sunday. Yeah,
And they could do it.
they could.
Still can.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still rotate. That's the other thing that's unique too, is because it's a rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all started that too, where it's like everybody can play, and that's a good thing because you had depth. And if you needed somebody else, you could say, "Hey, man,
Absolutely.
can you come help?" Or then you think like Duchess, Danielle. If you come in, I mean, you had. And I hadn't seen Duchess. Well, I heard she was not really doing a whole lot. She does in those apartments right there by us. So
I
somebody
see
said
her.
that-
I
I was
run
like,
into
man,
her when
she
she's
needs
walking.
to get back involved.
Yeah.
Get her back in.
Yeah. She's great, man.
Spread the love.
She's great.
All right, what else you got?
Well, that reminds me of the Sinbad shows
Oh my God.
because Danielle, she played at both of them, and that was pretty unreal.
Because you brought him in.
Well, so it was my idea
Yeah.
It
to
was
bring him
his
in the first time,
Yes,
but
100%.
I knew that he was crazy enough that he would actually call him. So when we're in the meeting, I'm thinking, why not?
Give it a
Why
shot.
wouldn't you?
Why
So
would
I'm just
you
gonna
do
throw this out here. It's crazy, but yeah.
And that's a crazy. If you've never heard the story, real briefly, we had a lot of negative stuff going on in the community. The kids had drowned in the Red River.
Yeah.
Police officer.
Officer Prunty.
Prunty was shot and killed. Airmen had been deployed because something was going on overseas, and we were like, man, in the brainstorming, it'd be fun to laugh. But then once again with Simple Church, we were like, we don't want a Christian comedian. It's like
Boring.
the last thing we need is
Right.
some unknown Christian comedian because
Well, you want somebody who's familiar, everybody's
Yeah.
familiar with him.
so we were like, and then that's when Johnny, I was blank. I had nothing. And you're like, because we had used some clips from him. I mean, I like him and grew up with him. So, but I think you were like, dude, you ought to do Sinbad. I'm like, you're out of your mind. You have lost your mind. You're like, why wouldn't you?
Wow.
Why wouldn't we? Come on. So then in that process, the long story, a little shorter, we didn't know how to get a hold of him. I called someplace, got hung up on. They didn't want to meet with us, whatever. And then Angie's sister Rebecca lived in California. I called her and said, "Do you happen to know anybody?" She says, "Crazy. I was at a party last night in Burbank." This is true. She said, "And I met a guy that I think is either his manager or knows his manager."
Wow.
So she called him, and he said, "Call him." I call him. He gives me the direct number to New York. And that's when I called him, and the guy was rude again. I mean, I got to the guy, though. And he said, "Just send me an email," and hung up. And so I put together an email. Somewhere it's in my file still of just made him feel like nothing. Because he was rude. I was like, "Dude, it ain't about us. It's kids that are drowning in Red River. It's blah, 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 blah." And then he called back, and he said, I can't remember what it was. I want to say it wasn't crazy. I want to say maybe $5,000. Yeah, $8,000. If you think you can come up with $8,000 or whatever, you will do it. And I was like, we came up with it. I didn't even ask John at that point. I'm like, whatever, we're in. We got it.
Yeah.
And then the craziest part is that he would open for Prince
The night before.
in Madison Square Garden the night before
Yep.
he showed up in Shreveport to do the show.
They held the plane for him at the airport so he could make it here on time.
And he hadn't slept because he got here, and we picked him up. And we got him to the hotel. And we're like, "Hey, bro, thanks for doing this work." He goes, "I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been up all night with Prince. I need to go get a nap, but you need to knock on my door, and then I'll tell y'all all about it." And then he just hung out.
He did. Yeah.
He didn't go back to the room. He was just like, "Man, what about this?" And we were like, "Dude, that dude's legit."
Talked to everybody.
And then we went and
was
got
great.
that family. There was 5 families, and that just reminds me. We went and knocked on those doors and invited those people, and they were our guests and all that stuff. Well, it reminds me of with everything going on with Putt. I don't know if you've seen all that in the news.
I
You
heard,
know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So me and Putt went and met that lady yesterday. Took her some flowers, and tragic 17-year-old, tragically killed and found on his property. And so it just reminded me, it's funny you bring that up, of the Sinbad, because we don't know this lady. We didn't know them. We're just knocking on the doors and going, "Hey, man, I've heard of your loss. We'd love for you to be our guest." When I was telling Putt yesterday, I was like, he goes, "This is crazy." Because I don't know if you've been in the neighborhoods that are not familiar with us, but like driving up, Putt's like, "Man, this is crazy." Well, I said, "Look, man, she's broken. This is a mama." It was the same way with those families. And then how honored they were to be a part. And this lady was no different. When we knocked on that door yesterday, she's just like, "You'd really come over here? You would come out of your world and come into our world." We're like, "Man, we just praying for you," or whatever. Well, to me, that's where Sinbad got.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Dude, y'all my people."
That's why he came back?
And then he said, "Dude, I'll come back anytime. Y'all want to do." He had a stroke recently.
No way.
Yeah, Sinbad had a stroke. He's still okay, but remember one of his gags in this thing is about having a stroke. So I want to mess with him so bad, but I figure it's not appropriate yet. But those are great, and y'all threw down music on that stuff. That was some of the funkiest.
Yeah. That was probably one of the, both of those times that we played were probably one of my favorite.
And it was just funky, nasty.
Yes, sir.
Just
Yes, sir.
threw it down, son.
I hope you still got the videos.
Oh yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the cool thing about the second time he came in, because that
was
at that
the
time
CenturyLink.
that was
We went
the
from
CenturyLink.
the first time we went to Convention Center,
Right.
And
He ended
a
up
little
doing-
trivia on that: he was
Yeah.
only agreed to do one show,
Right.
And then when I called him back, it's like, "Dude, that 3,000 seats sold out in seconds." And I said, "Can we pay you or will you?" He said, I want to say he said, "Man, give me an extra $500, $1,000, and I'll do the second show." And remember, he went forever. He was like going on to like forever, and because he had so much fun and loved it, he was like, "Y'all are crazy. This is fun. Call me anytime."
Yeah.
So then it goes, like you said, to the second show.
Yeah. CenturyLink Center. And I think at that time, about 9,000 ended up showing up.
Yeah,
Is that-
a lot.
That's a lot.
And so to be able to play, we did that. That was
You had to rent
was
the PA
unbelievable.
for that too. This is
Yeah.
what you're talking about, a full show, like a big show concert.
Yeah.
But it was funky.
It was.
And I had the flu.
Oh, yes. I remember that.
I don't even remember some of the stuff that happened that night. I don't know what. There's things that come to mind, and then there's things that I'm like, I don't know what happened.
The best part was he was making some joke about being old.
Oh yeah,
You remember that? And talking about how old people we're just
Need a
looking for a chair. I just need me a chair. Is there a chair by wherever I'm doing? Is there a chair close? He keeps going on about it.
I finally said,
And then you bring him a chair up on set.
oh, he said, yo, pimp preacher.
Yeah.
He said, you going to need this. Now I do need the chair. I'm
Yeah,
sitting down.
because
Sinbad.
if you remember, he had hurt his leg.
Yeah, he's had.
He had hurt his knee or
Yeah.
whatever, and it was fresh off that when he came and did that show. So he really was in actual pain.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it really did help him.
Yeah, he's funny, man. That dude, that was awesome, though.
That was good. All the videos
Oh,
that
yeah.
we did were fun.
Then how about POD?
Yes. POD.
Sonny coming in.
POD was like one
He's,
of my.
by the way, he's coming close again. He's coming to Dallas again, so we think we're going to go over and hang out again.
That'd be good.
I don't know if you want to go, but you know,
Yeah.
he's got. I don't know what he's doing, but they're doing a tour where they're going to schools. So I asked him if he would come here if we could figure that out. They do school assemblies, Kill the Noise tour. It's
The whosoever's.
yeah, but it's like they got a little thing. So I was like, man, it'd be fun if you. Like, okay, let's see if we can work it out. But they're not. You know how it is. It's like they go West Coast, but they're starting, I think, to come East Coast. But he's funny.
Yeah, he's good.
Mm-hmm.
You broke out a little. This goes out to you.
So yeah, okay.
So those are some good.
I-
Where else you gonna play that?
You can, you know.
You're not
only that,
going to.
but you know, to be able to meet. So, which POD was a huge influence. You know, I remember when they, you know, seeing the videos on MTV,
Oh yeah.
and I loved heavy music. And stuff.
Oh yeah.
So when he came in, then we were able to play this song, which I think we did
I think you did really good.
a good job on.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and to have him go, okay, you know, like,
Okay.
okay, you know, for him to be impressed
Yeah.
was cool. And then we brought Kevin Max in
Which is crazy.
that one time. And then we actually he actually sang with us.
Oh yeah.
So that was a trip.
To have like
So,
people you've listened
yeah.
to, or
Yeah.
you know, and they're like, yeah, man, this is
To
fun.
be able to, you know, actually perform and play with them too, you know.
Okay, Max, that dude's funny. He's crazy.
Yeah.
They still tripping. He still trips me out. And then go back to though. There's a little inside. I'm giving more info. It hits me as I go into these musical moments. You named your son
Yeah.
after meeting Lincoln Brewster.
Lincoln Brewster, right. Yeah.
Because that was another special.
That-
You know what's funny, and this goes back to, remember, not a lot of people came to the worship night.
No.
Something like this. It's Lincoln Brewster.
Yeah.
He's one of the top worship guys in the. They're like,
Nah.
yeah.
Whatever.
Can he play?
Awesome. Yep. That's why he's one of my biggest influences.
No, he's phenomenal.
So yeah, so we brought him. That was 2013, because that's when Lincoln was born. My Lincoln, 2013. So it was when the first time.
See, I can't. It's all a blur to me.
And then if you remember, so we had a volunteer at that time, Colin Marshall, his wife Olya, who is Russian.
Olga. Or Olya.
Oh yeah, maybe that's the Russian dialect.
That is the
Olga.
Russian correct way to say it.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
it is. Look it up. Anyway, so Olya or Olga, but it's Olya.
Yeah, I mean we just called her Olga for
Yeah,
years, but
yeah, it's Olya. That's how you say
We'll
it
get him
properly.
to. Colin, I know you listen.
Yeah.
Go ahead and.
But anyway, so Colin is running video camera, so he's hanging out, you know, after the show, we're tearing everything down. So he gets talking to the keyboard player. Keyboard player for Lincoln Brewster is Russian.
oh, that's right.
Come to find out, her family and his family, so he lives in California, that's where she's from, her family lives there. They're neighbors and had no idea. They grew up literally one street away from each other in the same neighborhood in San Francisco.
That's awesome.
And had no idea. And then they met right there at the municipal. And then so they were like, they exchanged numbers. And so the next time that Colin went out, they actually hung out at his house and did stuff. And so, yeah, kind of crazy.
That's awesome.
What were you gonna say? You had something else you were gonna talk about.
Well, when we brought him in, the way it lined up, it ended up lining up, which we didn't plan, was
There's a lot that we didn't plan
Right.
that God lined up.
yeah, despite our right,
Attempts.
yeah, it happened to be 10 days after my Lincoln was born. So it was he was able to be. It was after he got home from the hospital. So we did the show. We opened up for him, which was
That's
fun,
awesome.
but which was very nerve wracking as well. But then afterwards we went out to eat, if you remember.
Oh,
And
yeah.
So we were able to. So little Lincoln was able to meet big Lincoln. He was 10 days old.
I remember, but it's just surreal.
I can
There's
even
so
tell you,
many things.
I
that
remember
happen.
where you ate. Copeland's.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just so many things. Like when you go back, because I'll go to another one. You remember, which is another kind of crazy. for King of Country coming in, and not knowing, and they were like, "We don't play on Sunday mornings." And I'm like, "The only way you're coming to Similar Church is interview,
And
do a
play.
song,
You got to play.
yeah, and then we'll do the concert." Well, and they ended up selling everything that they had. I remember Small Bone coach to me at the end. He goes, "We've played Saddleback, we've played Willow Creek, we've never sold everything." I said, "Because they know who you are, bro. Like you make them, because the interview helped them to kind of." The same way with Lincoln, we did an interview
Right.
just to hear like about the alcohol abuse in his family, and but to me that's what's cool is because most people don't know. They see or hear the song, but to be able to get that inside information or K Max or Sonny or whatever, it's like Angie tells me to this day. She's like, "You have a crush on Sonny," and I'm like, "I do. That's my man crush.
He is a good looking guy.
He's a good looking dude, but he really loves Jesus, probably
yeah.
the most of anybody that I have interacted with." If that's a weird, but I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, that dude, I'm talking about even preachers. He's at another level
Yeah.
of like going, that
Absolutely.
dude's legit, man. So
Remember the very first interview we did with him?
Yeah,
we never used it.
we never
aired
used it.
Yeah.
That was raw and real because they were playing at the warehouse, weren't they?
Yep.
So and then he's like, now he's in. He calls, text last week,
That's awesome.
so he's still like, hey man, I mean, he's growing his hair back out, by the way.
I saw that. Yeah.
He'd shaved it all off and buried it in Israel.
Yep.
Did you know that?
I didn't know he buried it in his.
He has this whole thing of like,
Oh yeah, the last time he was here and I dropped him off at the airport, he's getting out and he gets real close to me and he says, "I want you to do me a favor." And I said, "What's that?" He goes, "Convince Justin to come to Israel with me."
he wants us to go. He's still,
Yeah, I said, "Okay."
oh, okay, Sonny, we're going. Yeah, he's big into all that. But I'm going back. You had for King and Country, and then like Guitars for Good, and the whole shirt you came up with, and the idea of us helping with James Burton and Vince Gill was there, and
Toby Keith, or was it?
no,
Toby Keith?
no, Trace Atkins.
Trace
Trace
Atkins,
Atkins. That's right.
I mean, that's pretty crazy. Stray
Who
Cats
was it?
guy.
Brooks.
Bro,
Remember him? He was fun. He was funny.
you remember
Paul
early
Schaefer.
on too in the beginning when we did a playground, when we built a playground with Brooks and Dunn. Did you do that?
I can't.
They were in town, and somehow we got a phone call, and we went and were the labor for Brooks and Dunn because they wanted the photo op. So they're out there like with a wrench, smiling, "I'm here, Red Dirt Road," and whatever. I don't know their songs. Sorry, I do know them, but I don't know them off the top of my head. now.
Boot Scootin' Boogie.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's their big hit.
yeah, and so, but yeah, we got to build a playground with them, and
That's funny.
It
See,
is
some
funny.
stuff I can't. I don't.
Oh, Paul Schaefer. Was,
yeah. Okay, I'll give you another one you may not remember, and this is guitar. Do you remember when we did the veterans houses and Mayer showed up? John Mayer.
No.
Yeah, right there in downtown Shreveport. He showed up to help with.
I don't know.
Yeah, Bill had organized a veteran build, and I don't know who it was with, Community Renewal or something, and somehow, like within an hour of us being there, like, hey man, John Mayer just showed up. We were like, well, dadgum, man, like this is,
Wow.
did y'all meet him?
I didn't get to, but whoever was there did. We had literally left. You know how it is. You don't know he's coming. And so we were working. We're like, all right, let's go eat or we're gone. And like Bill's like, hey, there's some guy famous that all these people are freaking out about. I'm like, I don't know, but like John Mayer. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Wow.
Yeah, and it was through somehow the relationship with whoever, but he was in town, and
Yeah, because he did. He actually kicked off, or not kicked off, but he rehearsed here
yeah.
for one of the tours that he did. Yeah, he rehearsed at the CenturyLink for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we gotta get back to getting somebody in. A couple of people have called us about doing some stuff, but I'm like, Christian stuff's still tough for me. I'm just being straight.
Hey.
It's like it is. It's like when they go for King and Country is back on tour this fall, so there's some possibility of that happening. So, but I'm like, okay,
Shall see.
I mean, and I like them. They're my boys. I'm for it. But I'm saying, what I loved about For King and Country when we met them, even that other time, which I think you can appreciate, is that I was trying to show the world side. They had been on like Vampire Diaries. They had done Jay Leno show.
Right.
They had done all, and I'm like, I just think we should be influencing the world, or there should be a connection with that. So it always entices me or makes me more excited when I know they have some connection to
Yeah.
somebody out there. Sinbad was that way. It's why, it's not that I don't like whoever the Christian comedians are or whatever. But well, you remember John Christ?
Yeah, I do.
I think that's enough said.
He's
about
funny.
him.
He's funny. Yeah.
But Michael Jr. too.
Michael Jr.
Which
was
he was-
awesome.
he
He was
was a
probably the
pleasant
best
surprise.
Christian
He was
Yeah.
comedian
very
we
funny.
brought in.
He's great. But I think he does other stuff too.
Yeah, but he was probably the best Christian comedian. I mean, that he
yeah.
has that we brought in. He's pretty fun. He's dry though, man.
Yeah.
Very dry.
Which but he did the good. Strain was good when he did it.
Thanks so much for joining us once again on Backstage with a Simple Church. Please subscribe today wherever you listen, and we'll be back with a brand new podcast next week. Thanks again so much for joining us for the beginning series this summer. We appreciate it, and have a great rest of your week.